Hello, welcome to Dissident Canada. My name is Tyler, and at first, last week I wanted to do just a rant today on something that's going on in the commercial real estate sector in the banking industry and why it's going on. But I thought maybe that's not enough, so I'll throw in some two other interesting facts that's going on. Um, I think I will build up to what I originally wanted to do. First thing, people are misunderstanding what's going on with China and their official U.S. Treasury holdings. It appears that in the last 3 years that they've offloaded 300 billion of treasuries, which from peak they've not bought more, but that's not entirely what's going on. Uh, they are basically offshoring that roughly 300 billion to custodial accounts in Belgium. Belgium. Now, why this matters is because the location of those treasuries is extremely important. If China's selling them, which is basically what is happening, they're selling them from their domestic holdings. It means they've run into a dollar shortage and they are trying to quickly get dollars by selling the treasuries, even though that is the direct opposite of what happens. You need to hold on to the treasuries to continually get a flow of dollars, not just from, the bond payouts and the coupon payouts on the bond, on the treasuries. You also need to have the physical treasuries so that you can then use them as collateral, in which case they're leveraged, say, up to, say, 19, 20 times. And then you have, instead of 300 billion, you have, what is that, 6 trillion, right? So if I just, that's, and then you add a zero, yeah, 6 trillion. Big difference. But when you get into situations where you're extremely strapped for cash, you really can't hold on to the treasuries to do these repo plays and so on and so forth. So what ends up happening is these central banks sell them off, even though what China's doing is selling them off domestically and then buying them over in Belgium. The likely reason why they're buying in Belgium is probably a play similar to what the Russians did post World War II with their U.S. bonds. It's they sold them and then bought them in custodial accounts in European nations so that they would be likely more insulated. And when you look at what happened, you know, 3 years ago with the Russians and U.S. bonds and other assets that were Russian assets by the Russian central bank, um, you kind of want to diversify where you hold all your shit so that it can't be all wiped out at once. So, it just reinforces what I've been saying, that China is going through some shit. Their economy is on fucking fire, to say the least. Um, yeah, China, great place to be at the moment. Like I don't know if you've been keeping up with all the stuff that's going on there. You now have Hong Kong banks worried about a bank run, and a little bit of a bank run that did happen. Um, Again, multiple factories being attacked on the regular. Factories being attacked because workers are not being paid specifically. You just have strapped cashness throughout the entire Chinese economy, and it's been going on for a while, and you have an extremely low trust society with all these issues in an authoritarian regime that continues to crack down, and Xi continues to constantly purge his administration to the best of his ability so that he can stay in power, and there is a power struggle between him and the party leaders. Oh, yay, communists doing communist things. Fantastic. Can only end well with a nuclear armed power that has shown complete disregard for human life in every shape and form. Oh, yay. Lovely day. Anyways, an update on the state of central bank digital currencies. Yes, Trump made that executive order, and it kind of went through Congress saying, hey, no. It was specifically said the Fed couldn't do it. And I still retain my belief that if anybody was actually to implement a central bank digital currency, so we've already got digital currencies, it's kind of central bank controlled to a little bit. But if you wanted to actually do it and have retain the control you wanted, you wouldn't do it through the crypto. Trump's move with stable coins is most likely a means to make a play for the future plumbing of the Eurodollar system. Like it's been evident now for a few years that USDT and USDC, the reason why there's so much money in them, like you're talking at least billions of dollars, at this point. The reason why there's that much money isn't because of crypto people using it as a medium of exchange in the crypto space to do trades and stuff. Like there's not enough activity for that. Um, they also don't have enough holdings for that. While also having massive holdings of crypto. Like the crypto guys aren't doing this. This looks like banks and the Eurodollar system moving money as it has for a while. It's why crypto in general keeps going up. It's not so much because of retail getting involved. That does help and holding. It's because the big boys have gotten involved and are moving. What crypto's what 4 trillion or something or close enough to say 4 trillion. So I still retain the belief that if you're making the play for a central bank digital currency, you are going to control bank ledgers. You are going to take the bank ledgers, which are the balance sheets and the accounts, and you are going to basically offshore that from the bank to the central bank, which moves all the liability and risk to the central bank, which would allow banks to just go full risk on like there's no tomorrow, which they want. Anyways, in servicing of that, all right, or at least in my theory of this, Venmo and PayPal users can now send money directly to the U.S. Treasury in an effort to help chip away at the 36.7 trillion national U.S. debt. Why do I think that's a signal of a central bank digital currency? Well, one, Trump, Besant, and like the whole team has kind of been signaling they want to roll the Fed into the Treasury Department. Like they don't want to have to deal with, another Jerome Powell that will not acquiesce to their demands of where rates need to be. By the way, just on the topic of rates, you could move rates to like -5%, and it would not help what is coming. Not at all. It's because rates aren't the problem. Underlying systemic issues. But anyways, what this does is this now allows everyday users, all right, everyday people, to interact with the Treasury. Now, see, the thing is, the Treasury isn't a bank. The Treasury has a bank account at the Fed, and all interactions run through, right now, the Fed. So, if Venmo and PayPal users are going to be able to send money to the Treasury, they're sending it directly to the Treasury's bank account in the Fed. That is a joining of a system that has been separate. The Treasury has been, since the Federal Reserve, completely separated from the system. Like bond auctions, Treasury auctions, Fed remittance. So when the Fed makes a profit, they have to send that to the Treasury. Um, all of that is run through the Fed and on the Fed's balance sheet. Like you do not, when you pay taxes, you're not paying it to the Treasury, you're paying it to the Fed. Same here in Canada. You're not paying it to, you know, the uh, the Canadian Mint, or which would be our equivalent. You are paying it. It's going into the government's account at the Bank of Canada. That is what is happening. They are the basic firewall between the two systems. So if you're starting to disintegrate that barrier, you are likely moving closer, or you are getting people comfortable enough that the Treasury interacts more and more with the real system instead of just through the Fed, which to me, again, signals a central bank digital currency. Do I think Trump sees it as that way? No. I don't think a lot of people see it that way. But it is a dangerous, dangerous signal, in my opinion, and something everybody needs to be kept an eye on. Okay, now, the reason I wanted to make this video is a growing mindset that, it's so common in people like Robert Kiyosaki. Trump is in this camp as well. The banks and banksters are also in this camp. And it is this mentality of, if I have a big enough debt burden, like from like the individual level. So Robert Kiyosaki has said this on multiple occasions. If I get a loan from the bank for $1 billion, okay, and I go buy, commercial real estate or whatever, and it fails and it doesn't work out, that's, am I in trouble? Kind of. If I do it through, an LLC, there's legal protections from there. But you know who's really fucked and who really wanted me to succeed? It's the bank. And it's not just because, oh, now the bank's got, settled with this property that they have to sell. Absolutely, they have to sell it at a loss. Absolutely, that's bad. The problem is they have to reshift their entire balance sheet, which is no easy task. Like, now, on the scale of $1 billion, it's probably not that hard for a medium to large scale bank to do, but it is a lot of work, and it is going to impact how you think about risk, which is just going to screw up so many things. But see, now, the problem that why I'm bringing this up is it's not just, the mindset that Robert Kiyosaki has. And Trump has repeatedly said why he likes debt is because of this. Is that, like, well, the liability is not on you, it's on the bank. The banks are doing it too. Specifically right now with commercial real estate, they don't want rediscovery because if they, say, what is it, New York Community Bank was having troubles a couple years ago or last year, or what is it, community, like there was New York Community Bank and like Community New York Bank. There was two of them, like the exact same three words, just in different orders. Same problem, commercial real estate. Um, if one bank uh, does price discovery and you now have to refinance a building that was, say, valued at $1 billion and it had 80 to 90% occupancy, it has now 50% occupancy. It is no longer worth that $1 billion. It is worth way less. So now the outstanding loan is not in balance with the asset, and you have now severely taken a loss. But it's not a bank that has a single $1 billion loan. It's all commercial real estate from the highs of 2022. And it is not just a single bank that's saying, oh, we're going to kick this price discovery can down the road. It's all banks doing this because the mentality of, well, if we all just kick this can down the road when it goes bad, because there's no hiding this is banking. This is a system that everything comes back to haunt you. It is not a, oh well, J.P. Morgan Chase or Community New York Bank has a problem. It is the entire system. And like, I'm speaking in the context of the United States, obviously, but this is a global, systemic problem. I mentioned earlier uh, Hong Kong banks having issues and fearing bank runs. They are also having problems with commercial real estate. Um, the Chinese mainland banking sector is having problems with real estate. You remember, what was that, 2023 is when it really started to pick up wind of the Chinese real estate sector having serious freaking problems? The reason why that, because price discovery was coming up and they kind of kicked the can down the road because, oh, this isn't just going to be, an Evergrande going down. This is going to be the entire system. Like, it would, instead of having dominoes fall, they wanted, like a domino chain reaction. They want all the dominoes at once to fall because then the government has to step in and solve the problem. Like, this mentality is what is destroying and gutting the economy. Like, the deferred responsibility of, oh, we made mistakes. We got into risky positions with people we should not have. The market was overhot. We should have seen that. But instead, we put, billions of dollars on the line. And now, well, we failed. Like, it's like the same thinking in government of debt. Uh, I mean, there's a lot going on. Like, you could not cut off government debt all at once. You would destroy collateralized markets and cause no end of short term, medium term, and maybe even long term pain until the system worked it out. But like, the problem with debt, as I continually say, government debt specifically, is you get this wealth siphon effect away from the people. And it's very clear. You can see, oh, government debt goes this way, the wealth of the people does an inverse almost proportionately. It's very simple to see. Like, you saw it during COVID. Government debt went, your personal wealth did a nosedive. Now, it was delayed to a certain extent because there's a lot of reasons for that, but it was delayed. But it was there. Like, this mentality of, let's not fix it, let's band aid over it and let someone else deal with it. It's such a societal, and it's not even just a societal level problem. It is basically infected most places on Earth, and it is going to come back to haunt us. I mean, it already has, but like it's going to cause serious problems. We need to deal with severe issues and not just kick it down the fucking road. But then you have people like I know I've called out Robert Kiyosaki multiple times. It's because he constantly says this on I think he does his own show, and like on interviews that he does, he constantly brings it up and perpetuates it, that this is a good fucking way to run a business, and it's not. Because instead of you know putting the risk on yourself, you are putting the risk on the country, for fuck's sakes. Like, it's a level of arrogant thinking that just pisses me off to no end. Anyways, that'll be the video today. I have no idea what I want to talk about tomorrow. Maybe I'll talk about some Epstein stuff. Or maybe I will talk about the alien psyop that happened on Friday. Because, of course it did. Why wouldn't it happen on Friday? Like, what was it, half an hour or so before, the 6 o'clock news is starting to air? We just start getting the report of the unknown object that is going to pass closely by Earth and potentially do a slingshot maneuver around the sun and sneak attack Earth, and it might be an alien object, the possibility is real. After the debacle of Epstein, what's going on with Russiagate, the BS that is happening all over the world, because now there's a war between Thailand and Cambodia, because of course there is. We don't have enough war. We need more. We that kind of year. God. Anyways, see you on Monday with something. Till then, have a good day. Or no, not Monday. Oh God. See you Tuesday with something. Never record a video that you're going to put out on one take when you've had too little sleep. Anyways, have a good day. See you tomorrow with whatever the